This isn't just a story. It's a journey, one that'll stay with you long after the video ends. So if you've ever felt love, loss, betrayal, or hope, then stay with us. Because this story deserves to be heard from the very first second to the very last. If this video moves you, even for a moment, please give it a like. Leave a comment telling us which part hit you the hardest, and share it with someone who needs to feel something real today. And if you love stories that are raw, emotional, and unforgettable, then subscribe to the channel. Because we don't just tell stories here. We bring them to life.
It started with a phone. Not a kiss. Not a text. Not a look across a crowded room. Just one misplaced phone at a cafe on 45th and Grand. Nathan Hale hadn't even noticed the switch until he got to his office. He dropped the phone on his desk like he always did, reached for his coffee and pressed the button. Wrong lock screen. A picture of a golden retriever and a quote, "Grow through what you go through." He blinked. What the? His heart thudded. He checked his coat pocket for his own phone. Nothing. Then the realization hit. Same model. Same black case. Switched at the cafe. He groaned, already picturing the hassle. Meanwhile, Isla Monroe was standing outside that same cafe, panic in her eyes. Her phone, or someone's phone, buzzed in her hand. An unknown number. Hello. A deep, slightly embarrassed voice answered. I think we've swapped phones. She exhaled. Oh, thank God. I'm Nathan. Architect. Gray coat. Black coffee. No cream. She laughed. I remember. You bumped into me at the sugar station. I'm Isla. Flustered girl. Green scarf. Forgot to stir her latte. Nathan chuckled on the other end. That sounds about right. They agreed to meet again at the cafe in an hour. She was still nearby. He'd be back. When he arrived, she was seated near the window with both phones in front of her. Hers in one hand, his in the other, like she was comparing fingerprints. He approached slowly. Guess it was fate. She looked up, one eyebrow raised. Fate has terrible organizational skills. He laughed and she smiled, that kind of smile that hits without warning. They exchanged phones. But neither moved to leave. Since we're both here, he said, can I buy you another latte? Stirred this time. Are you always this charming after a technical mishap? Only when it involves beautiful women holding my entire digital life hostage. She blushed and nodded. All right, architect. One latte. What followed was one of those conversations that felt like a scene from a movie. They talked about the worst apartments they'd ever lived in, the best pizza in the city, and how people never really look up anymore. Always on their phones. Maybe the universe had to take mine away, Isla said, just to make me look up. Nathan sipped his drink. I'm glad it did. It wasn't love at first sight. It was easier than that. Familiar. Effortless. And just a little too perfect. When they left the cafe, the sky had changed. A soft pink brushed against the skyline as the sun dipped behind the buildings. Walk with me? Nathan asked. They strolled down Fifth, past flower stands closing up and street musicians packing away their violins. When they stopped at the subway station, neither wanted to say goodbye. I'm not usually this spontaneous, Isla admitted. Me either. Yet here we are. Here we are, he echoed. He leaned in just enough to test the air between them. She didn't move away. Their lips met briefly, gently, like a whisper neither one planned. Then they pulled apart. No expectations, Nathan said. Agreed. Just a coincidence. Just. She smiled again, stepping into the subway. And Nathan stood there watching the train disappear into the tunnel, heart racing, wondering why something so small felt so important. He didn't know that Isla had once promised herself she'd never fall for someone again. She didn't know that Nathan still wore his wedding ring on a chain around his neck. They were strangers connected by mistake. But fate doesn't always knock. Sometimes, it just switches phones. 3 days passed before they saw each other again. Nathan texted first. Casual, simple. Hey. Architect here. Still stirring your latte in my head. Isla smiled at the message longer than she should have. Something about his humor felt comforting, like warmth on a cold morning. She replied with a single line. Guess I owe you a proper coffee stir. They met again on Saturday, this time at a little bookstore cafe on the east side that Isla had discovered years ago but rarely shared. Don't judge it by the smell, she teased. The muffins are life-changing. Nathan was already smiling when he saw her. Hair tied loosely, cheeks flushed from the wind, she looked like a chapter he hadn't read yet, but wanted to memorize. They sat by the window, flipping through books neither intended to buy. She talked about the kids' theater program she managed. He told her how designing buildings helped him control chaos, something his past didn't allow. You always talk in metaphors, she teased. Only when I'm nervous. She tilted her head. You're nervous. He nodded, honest. I haven't done this in a long time. Me neither. There was something unspoken between them. Not tension, more like shared bruises. And maybe that's why it was easy. There was no pretending. By the end of the coffee, Isla placed her hand on his across the table. Walk with me again? They did. Down quiet streets, through weekend markets, into conversations about childhood dreams and silent fears. When they reached her building, the pause lingered. I should go, she said, but didn't move. You sure? She looked up. Come upstairs. Her apartment was small but full of life. Plants on windowsills, books in every corner, candles on mismatched shelves. Nathan followed her in, took off his coat and stepped into her space like he belonged. He poured wine. He lit the candle. And the moment wrote itself. There was no rush. Their clothes came off slowly, one item at a time, as if removing years of hesitation. His hand traced the line of her back. Her fingers lingered on his chest, pausing when she felt the thin chain around his neck. He froze. She looked up. What is this? Nathan hesitated, then pulled the chain out from under his shirt. A gold wedding ring. Isla stepped back, her heart sinking. You're married. No, he said quickly. Not anymore. Then why? He exhaled. Her name was Claire. My wife. She passed away 2 years ago. Cancer. Isla felt her chest tighten. She hadn't expected that. I'm sorry, she whispered. He nodded. I don't wear the ring to hold on. I wear it to remind myself of what real love looked like, before I lost it. Silence stretched between them. Isla sat down on the couch. I know what it's like to lose something that used to feel like home. Nathan joined her, their fingers touching gently. I didn't mean to keep it from you, he said. I didn't ask, she replied, soft. I'm not angry. Just surprised. He kissed her shoulder. If this is too fast. It's not, she interrupted. I want this. But only if it's honest. It will be, he said, meeting her eyes. I promise. They moved closer again, this time slower. Their bodies met with aching softness, like two people stitching something broken back together. They made love in quiet, in understanding, in a rhythm that didn't need words. Afterward, wrapped in her blanket, Isla whispered, I don't know if I believe in fate. Nathan smiled. Neither did I. But I believe in you. Outside, the wind howled against the windows. Inside, two hearts beat in sync, for the first time in a long time. But just across the street, a man sat in a parked car watching her window. Hands clenched. Eyes burning. And a voice whispering, so this is where you ran to. The next morning, Isla woke to sunlight kissing her skin and Nathan's arms wrapped around her waist. For a moment she didn't move. She just lay there, eyes closed, soaking in a peace she hadn't known in years. Then her phone buzzed. She reached for it, careful not to wake him. Unknown number. One message. You really thought you could hide from me? She stared at the screen, breath catching in her throat. It had been over a year. She changed cities, jobs, even her last name. But it wasn't enough. Somehow, he found her. Is everything okay? Nathan mumbled behind her. She quickly turned the screen down and forced a smile. Yeah. Just work stuff. He leaned in, kissed her shoulder. Stay in bed. I'll make coffee. As he left the room, Isla sat up, heart pounding. How did he find me again? She'd left that life behind. The one with screaming matches, broken things, and bruises she learned how to hide. She had promised herself that man would never find her again. But danger had a long memory. She deleted the message. Then the number. Then the thought. She wouldn't let fear take this from her. Not now. Not when something real was finally growing. Downstairs, Nathan stirred cream into her cup, the way she liked it. He didn't notice her trembling hands when she accepted it. He only noticed the way she smiled when their fingers brushed. That afternoon they walked through Central Park. Nathan talked about an upcoming museum installation he was designing. Isla listened, but her mind kept drifting. What if Damien was really back? What if he was watching her again? She didn't tell Nathan. Not yet. But that night someone slipped a note under her door. I see you. And him. You'll regret this. Across the city, Nathan sat alone at his drafting table. He couldn't stop thinking about her. The way she smiled at books. The way she stirred her latte twice out of habit. The way she made him forget that he once thought he could never love again. He opened the drawer where he kept the chain, Claire's ring, and stared at it for a moment. Then slowly he tucked it away. Out of sight. His future didn't belong in the past anymore. He picked up his phone to text Isla but stopped when he noticed something strange. A voicemail from an unknown number. He played it. Nothing but breathing. Slow. Picky. Watching. He sat up straighter. Another message came in right then. You don't know who she really is. But I do. Nathan's blood ran cold. He dialed the number back. Blocked. Then another message. Want to know the truth? Meet me. Alone. Attached was an address. An abandoned train station on the east end of the city. Nathan didn't respond. He just stared at the screen. Had he stepped into something he didn't understand? Back at Isla's apartment, she was pacing. She couldn't breathe. Not again. She wouldn't go back to being hunted, controlled. She'd rebuilt everything, her job, her self-worth, her trust and love. Nathan. He didn't know what she was carrying. What she ran from. But if he did, would he still look at her the same? Would he still say, I believe in you? She walked to her nightstand, opened a hidden compartment and pulled out an old photo. One torn at the edges, one she'd almost burned. Damien. The man who once loved her. The man who nearly destroyed her. The man she thought she escaped. But now, he was here. And watching. At midnight, Nathan stood outside the abandoned train station. The air was cold. The streets too quiet. He didn't know what he was expecting. A confession? A warning? Then a voice behind him. She doesn't belong to you. Nathan turned. A man stepped out of the shadows. Dark eyes, a thin scar on his temple and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Who the hell are you? Nathan asked. I'm the man she used to belong to, he said. And I'm the man who will never let you near her again. The man grinned. You sure about that? Because the thing about love stories born from coincidence is that some coincidences are planned. Nathan didn't sleep that night. He returned home with questions circling his mind like vultures. Who was that man really? What had he meant by, she used to belong to me? And most of all, why had Isla never said a word? He didn't text her. Didn't call. He needed to think. By morning she was already outside his door. Hey, she whispered, her voice unsure. You okay? Nathan opened the door slowly. His eyes didn't carry the same softness. Come in. She entered cautiously, sensing something had shifted. I had a visitor last night, he said, watching her face. Her breath caught. Tall guy. Scar on his face. Called you his. Isla closed her eyes. Damien. So it's true. She nodded slowly, then sat down on his couch like her legs couldn't hold her weight. I wanted to tell you, Nathan. I swear. I didn't want to ruin this. He sat across from her, his jaw tight. You should have trusted me. I was scared. Of me. No. Of losing you. Silence wrapped around them like fog. Then Isla began. He wasn't always like that. When I met Damien, I was 23. I just left school. He was older, charming, successful. He helped me get my first job. Gave me a home. Said he saw something in me no one else did. She paused, eyes misting. But then the rules came. who I could talk to, what I could wear, where I could go. And when I didn't listen, he made sure I paid for it. Nathan's eyes softened. He hit you? Isla nodded. The first time he cried after. Said it was his childhood. Said he'd change. And I wanted to believe that. What made you leave? One night he came home drunk. And he locked me in the bathroom. 4 hours. Screaming. Accusing. Telling me I was nothing without him. Nathan stood and walked to her. Sat beside her. Held her trembling hands. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I changed everything, she said. I moved. Erased every trace. But I knew one day he'd find me. I just didn't think it would be when I was finally happy. Nathan touched her face. You should have told me. I was ashamed. You survived. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Their foreheads touched. Tears quietly fell. But so did the distance between them. That night they held each other like two people refusing to break. No sex, no romance, just raw, silent presence. But Damien wasn't done. The next day, Isla arrived at her workplace to find red spray paint across the glass door. Whore. Liar. Stolen property. Her breath caught in her throat. Inside, her boss waited with a concerned look. Elena, he said softly, the name she had given him to protect her identity. Do you need time off? She nodded. By the time she reached home, Nathan was already there, waiting with his fists clenched. I found him, he said. What? The man who left the voicemail. Same car outside your building. He's been tracking you for days. I called someone I know, old friend in law enforcement. We're going to report this. Isla's body tensed. But that'll just make it worse. Nathan stepped closer. No. Hiding makes it worse. I won't let him take one more thing from you. Not peace. Not work. Not love. She broke into tears. Why are you doing this? Because you're worth it. Later that night, Isla stood at her mirror, brushing her hair, the ache in her chest still heavy. Nathan walked in, wrapped his arms around her from behind. You know what I thought the day we met? He whispered into her neck. What? That maybe the universe didn't mess up. Maybe it was saving me. She turned facing him. I don't want to live afraid anymore. Then don't, he said. Let's end this. They kissed. This time not rushed. Not desperate. But as survivors. As lovers. As two people who had every reason not to believe in love. And did anyway. But across the city, Damien sat in a dark motel room. Gun on the table. Phone in hand. And a list of names on the screen. At the top, Nathan Hale. Rain fell hard that night, drenching the streets in silver. Nathan pulled Isla close under the umbrella as they stepped out of the police station. The restraining order had been filed. Damien's photo was officially on record. A detective promised to look into it. But Nathan had seen too much of the system to put all his faith in it. I don't want you alone, he said as they walked. I don't want to be, Isla whispered. They spent the night at his place. Door double-locked, curtains drawn, phones silenced. They cooked dinner together. Puff. Laughed. Tried to pretend that the world outside hadn't darkened. Later, in bed, they held each other beneath soft lamplight. Nathan, she said, tracing his jawline with her fingers. What happens if he doesn't stop? Then I don't stop either, he replied. Until he does. Their kiss was slow. Emotional. More than sex. It was claiming back the life they both nearly lost. They made love in silence, their breath rising and falling like tides. Her hands on his back. His lips on her shoulder. No words. Just skin. Safety. Healing. And afterward they lay tangled, not needing anything but the sound of each other's hearts. But at 3:04 a.m. Nathan woke to a noise. Soft. Almost like a floorboard. He sat up. Then he saw it. The front door, open an inch. He moved quickly, silently. Isla, he whispered, nudging her awake. Stay in the room. Lock the door. Fear flooded her eyes, but she nodded. Nathan grabbed the metal lamp from the desk. He crept into the living room, heart pounding, breath slow. A shadow moved. Nathan, a voice said casually. Damien stepped forward, gun in hand. Nice place. Real cozy. Must be easy to forget things in here. Like how she ruined my life. She left you, Nathan said, voice low. You didn't deserve her. Damien laughed. Neither do you. He's mine. Always was. Nathan took a step forward. You don't own people. Don't I? Damien pointed the gun at his chest. You don't even know what she's done. Nathan stood still. Come. I know everything now. Then you know she's poison. No. She's a survivor. Just then a loud crash. Isla, standing in the hallway, had thrown a heavy ceramic bowl at Damien's shoulder. He turned, startled. The gun wavered. Nathan lunged. They struggled. Two men. Years of rage. One life between them. A shot fired. Screams. Then silence. Nathan stood, breathing hard, the gun kicked across the floor. Damien groaned, clutching his bleeding shoulder. Sirens wailed in the distance. Neighbors had already called. Isla ran to Nathan. You're okay? He nodded, pulling her into his arms. By the time police arrived, Damien was on the floor, restrained, shouting about betrayal and revenge. Nathan held Isla's hand the whole time. She didn't let go. Not once. 2 weeks later, the world had shifted. Damien was behind bars. No bail. Multiple charges. Isla returned to work, this time with her real name. Nathan reopened the gallery, his art more emotional than ever before. But one evening after dinner on the balcony, Isla placed a small box on the table. What's this? Nathan asked. Something I've been holding on to. Tied his chain. Claire's ring. I found it in your drawer, she said softly. You don't have to wear it anymore. But don't hide it either. She's part of your story. And I'm not here to replace her. Just to write the next chapter with you. Nathan swallowed, overwhelmed. He took the chain, held it, then walked to his shelf, and placed it in a small wooden box labeled, Love Doesn't Die. It evolves. He turned back to Isla. You're not the next chapter, he said. You're the story I didn't know I was allowed to live. They kissed, slow, sweet, and strong. Coincidence had brought them together. But love made them stay.